Over the past couple months, I haven't really been shy about my disappointment and dislike of Katseye's recent releases. Whether people agreed with my criticisms or completely disagreed with them, one thing I've always tried to do is be consistent. Because I've been vocal about my less than stellar opinions about them in the past, I believe it's also important for me to express when I feel they're moving in the right direction. So after Pinky Up and Iconic by Mistake, is Animal a step in the right direction or yet another nail in the coffin? Hey guys, welcome back to Summers with Wade. As you can tell, today we're talking about Katseye's latest single, Animal, released a few days ago. I've had some time to listen to it, and like always, I have some thoughts. Getting the general review out of the way, the song is a flirty pop track that explores the contrast between a polished public persona and the crazy, wild energy people hide behind closed doors. The song opens by painting a picture of someone who's perfectly composed and completely in control of their daily life. Quote, "You're the boss, you run the circus, baby. Take it up a notch, you're so sophisticated, don't want to be on a schedule, you're on your own time." The pre-chorus reinforces the idea that there are two sides of this person fighting for dominance, saying, quote, "You make the light and the shadows collide." During all of this, the narrator, in this case the girls, are very close to the subject of the song. Beyond having an intimate relationship, there's a sense of trust between them, ending the chorus with, "I keep your secret safe with me." The core theme of the song is found in the chorus. The phrase, "out of control," doesn't mean chaos, instead it celebrates the freedom of letting expectations go and allowing your raw instincts to take over. Building upon the trust I mentioned earlier, here, the narrator takes quiet pride in being the only person who gets to see this unfiltered side of them. Quote, "But I see a side behind the closed doors, they get a glimpse here on the dance floor, you move like an animal." Like usual, there isn't a whole lot of lyrical depth here, and honestly, that's perfectly fine. I think sometimes people equate simple with bad, and I don't necessarily agree with that. Not every song needs to reinvent the wheel or tackle some profound social commentary. Sometimes a well-executed pop song is enough. What I appreciate about Animal is that, unlike some of Katseye's previous releases, it commits to one central idea. Once the song establishes this contrast between someone's polished public image and the wilder version they only show in private, it sticks with that concept all the way through. There aren't random catchphrases or left turns that completely derail the narrative. It's a surprisingly focused song, and I think that's part of why it worked so much better for me. Could it also be the Ed Sheeran writing? Sure, but I'll just cut to the chase. I actually enjoyed this one. It has a great groove, and perhaps most importantly, the girls are finally allowed to sing. Even though I enjoyed the song, it's definitely not perfect. There are still a few things that stood out to me. The first is the fifth harmony comparison. The moment I heard the instrumental, my brain immediately went to "I'm in love with a monster," and I quickly saw online that I wasn't the only one. Between the darker theatrical atmosphere and parts of the melody, I completely understand why so many people made that connection. At the same time, I don't think that's necessarily a criticism. Songs like this pull from a much older style of pop that's heavily inspired by jazz, blues, and soul. In fact, I was also kind of reminded of the dramatic mood found in Amy Winehouse Back to Black. Obviously, they're very different songs, but they create a similar smoky cinematic atmosphere. And to Katseye's credit, the song does follow a classic chord progression used to create tension and a darker vibe. So while I absolutely hear the fifth harmony influence, I don't think it's enough to write the song off as derivative. Sometimes, multiple artists are simply drawing inspiration from the same musical traditions. Moving on, I've said it once and I'll say it again, I dislike how short it is. The song is barely over 2 minutes and 30 seconds, so it goes by really quick. That's more of a general complaint with their music, not necessarily this song in particular, but I felt like I had to mention it. Speaking of short, some of the music video outfits were a bit out there. I won't harp on this too much because last time that divided a lot of you, but I will say I'm glad Yoonchae was dressed appropriately, and I'll leave it up to you on how you feel about their other outfits. Also, whoever decided to bleach Daniela's eyebrows here deserves jail time. Why would you do that to her? And in this video specifically too, like, the looks were pretty okay for the most part, and then you cut to her and it's just like, bam, forehead. I don't know, it took me out a little. Now let's talk about what I think is easily the biggest improvement, the vocals. Oh my god, they finally let these girls sing. One of my biggest frustrations with Katseye's recent releases has been feeling like the production was doing all the talking. The members themselves almost became secondary to the concept. Between the distorted vocals and excessive processing, the production felt like it was constantly demanding your attention, making it feel like anyone could have been singing these songs. Here, things are different. The instrumental actually leaves room for each member's voice to shine. Lara sounds incredible, Sophia gets moments that really showcase her tone, and everyone for the most part feels much more distinct. For the first time in a while, I walked away thinking about the members' voices instead of feeling rage baited. One thing I also noticed while scrolling through comments was that a lot of people interpreted the song as being WLW coded. I don't know if I could say that on YouTube because they be striking things down for no reason these days, but I don't know if that was the writer's explicit intention, and I'm not going to pretend I know something I don't. But because the song is being performed by 6 women, singing directly to another seemingly femme-presenting person, I completely understand why listeners would connect with it that way. Whether intentional or not, I think it's genuinely nice when people are able to see themselves reflected in music. If different audiences can find their own meaning in the song, I think that's a positive. Moving along, I really do think the beat and flow of the song really lend itself to a much easier listening experience. Does that mean it's a less valuable song? Depends on who you ask. For me, I think there's always room for more easily digestible music from them, given their current track record. Now, don't quote me on this, cause it's purely speculation, but I can't help noticing a pattern with Hybe and Geffen's rollout strategy. Looking back at Beautiful Chaos, they led with Gnarly, a song that completely divided the internet. Whether people loved it or hated it, everyone was talking about it. Then they followed it up with Gabriella, which was much more approachable and ended up becoming a massive success. It has almost 1 billion streams on Spotify alone, like that's huge. To me, it almost feels like they're trying that formula again. Release the song that's guaranteed to generate discourse, let everyone argue about it for a few weeks, then once all eyes are on the group, release the more accessible single that reminds people just how talented they actually are. From a marketing perspective, I honestly think it's kind of brilliant. Unfortunately, controversy creates curiosity, and that curiosity in turn generates streams. My only concern is that formulas eventually stop feeling exciting once people recognize them. Hello, look at YG. If every comeback begins with the intentionally polarizing single before pivoting back to something safer, audiences eventually stop being surprised. They begin expecting the shock value instead of reacting to it naturally. That's why I hope Animal isn't simply the predictable second step in a marketing cycle. I hope it's a genuine reflection of where Katseye wants to go musically. I truly pray this marks a shift away from relying on intentionally polarizing music as the group's defining identity. They have so much to give, and I can't help but feel like that's being wasted on subpar music. While I do enjoy the song, when comparing it or viewing it through the same lens as my current Gnarly and Gabriella parallel, I can't help but feel like this is just weaker by comparison. Trying to be as objective as possible, it very well could be the fact that I've had more time with Gabriella and that's why I feel it's a better song, but I don't know if I believe that. Gabriella was just more engaging for me while feeling like a complete song. Animal is enjoyable, but Gabriella had bigger emotional peaks and stronger vocal moments while also having enough time to actually develop its ideas. Overall, I think Animal is a genuine breath of fresh air for Katseye. Is it my favorite song they've ever released? No. Do I think it's perfect? Also no. Like I said, there are still things I'd like to see improved, but despite all that, I actually enjoyed listening to it. More importantly, I enjoyed listening to the members. That's probably the biggest compliment I can give this song. I've already talked about the vocals throughout this review, but that's ultimately why this song works for me. It trusts the members instead of hiding them. My biggest hope moving forward is that this isn't just the calm after another intentionally divisive single. Looking back at Beautiful Chaos, it really did feel like Hybe and Geffen found the formula. Release the song that gets everyone talking, then follow it up with the song that wins people back. Again, even if it works now from a marketing perspective, from an artistic one though, I don't know how sustainable that is in the long run. I'd much rather see Katseye build an identity than build a pattern, because that's ultimately what I've been asking for all along. I don't need every release to be my favorite genre. I don't need every song to be deep or groundbreaking. I just want music that feels authentic to the members and showcases why they were chosen for this group in the first place. Their biggest strength has always been them as performers, and even though I think the choreo needs some reworking, Animal feels like one of the first songs in a while that actually trust them enough to let that strength shine. So to answer the question I asked in the beginning of the video, yes, I do think Animal is a step in the right direction. Maybe not the life-changing comeback some fans were hoping for, but certainly a welcome course correction. Now, the real question is whether this is the beginning of a new direction, or just a brief detour before they swing back toward chasing the next viral moment. Either way, I'm genuinely interested to see what's on the album. Hopefully, it'll be some solid B-sides, but you never know. Regardless, I'll be here to talk about it with you when it comes out. But that's all I have for you guys today. Also, sorry for no upload on Friday. I was hosting a game night at my house, and I kind of went overboard with planning and doing everything I wanted to get done for Saturday, so Friday's video kind of got put on the back burner. But that one should be coming out next. It's a video one of you guys suggested on my community tab, even if I was already planning on doing it, so please look forward to that. Also, I recorded all of my scrambling to get the house ready for the party, and I might post it on my Instagram, so if you're interested in much more of like my daily life, feel free to check it out over there. But officially, thank you all so very much for watching. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Click that bell icon so you're notified every time I post a video. Tell me in the comments down below, what are your thoughts on Animal, and are you excited for their Wild EP coming out in like a few weeks, I think. Remember that I love you all so much, and I'll see you guys on Wednesday. Bye!